Hello, Ruthless Church. It's been quite some time since I've done a video. For a long time, I used to do a video along with a written post, but for a while, I just kind of put that away. But what I'm about to talk about now, I felt like maybe video was the best way to go about sharing the content. So I'm going to read something from the Bible, a couple things, and then I'm going to expound on it just to set the tone for an event that's coming up out here in Boulder in the near future. And I wanted to just kind of say where I'm coming from my side of it. So there's this passage that Jesus says, it's in John 9:39, and starts off at John 9:39. It says, Jesus said, "For judgment I have come into this world, that those who do not see may see, and that those who see may be made blind." Then some Pharisees who were with him heard these words and said to him, "Are we blind also?" Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no sin, but now you see. You say we see, therefore your sin remains." The other passage comes from Micah, and it's Micah 6 and Micah 6:8, and it says, it basically, the context for this is the question, with what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before God, the high God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams and other types of sacrifices? And then it says, God has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? But to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. So I'm bringing this all up in the context of an event yet unnamed that we're going to be doing here. I'm going to be doing with a couple friends here in Boulder, November 15th. And it's a meditation essentially on race. It's open to the public. All people are welcome. All ethnicities are welcome. All religions are welcome. All people are welcome. All people who are seeking consciousness and people who might not be seeking consciousness, you're welcome. Why? Because ultimately we're all in this together, whether we think we are or not. The reason why I come with the passage about Jesus saying that he came so that the blind might see and that the seeing may be made blind is twofold. One is one of the people that I'm partnering with. He does something called the Blind Cafe, and it's basically a social experiment in the dark. And if you can imagine, when you're in the dark, eating with people, talking with people, and you have no idea who they look like or what they look like, whether it's tall or short, black, white, differently able, doesn't matter. You're sitting down with them, you're breaking bread, and a part of ourselves opens up. I've had the experience myself, and I can say with certainty that there's something that opens up inside of you when you're sitting there in a space of trust with these people that you don't know. And there's something else amazing that happens when you come out of that space and you realize, like, the people that you've been sitting with, and they don't look anything like how you might have imagined or whatever the case may be. It's pretty cool. The other partner that I'm working with is a person who does mindfulness meditations on race. And the whole purpose of it is for a person to come in contact with race as it pertains to them and their own experience, to take responsibility for the experience they have, and then to hopefully go out into the world with a little bit more awareness. And so we're going to be working together. Brian Rocheleau is the person from the Blind Cafe, and Kara Dansky is the person from 1,000 Arms, and of course I'm me, Pedro Silva. And we're doing this because we know from our own different experiences that it's only through putting ourselves in a space of vulnerability that we're able to encounter some of the challenges or blocks to our own consciousness and our own development in areas of social justice and areas of being able to be of human compatibility. And so we are setting up a space to get around that. And the reason why the passage about blindness is so important to me is that one of the things that I think a lot of us have a hard time coming to terms with is our blind spots. The places where if we were honest with ourselves, we could admit that we don't know. Humans, for some reason or other, are afraid of the unknown consistently. There's some of us who reach out and we try to make peace with it, accepting that we actually don't know. Some of us give it lip service, but at the end of the day, we try to protect ourselves with knowledge. And Jesus said in the scriptures that he came so that the blind might see and that the seeing might be made blind. And obviously, he's not talking about he went and healed some people physically of their physical blindness and then went around and started making other people physically blind. It's a metaphor for consciousness. For people who can admit that they don't see, then he's revealing something to them. And then for people who think they see but actually are not operating from a place of consciousness, he's saying, well, be made blind, realize the limitations of your sight so that I can reveal to you a new way of looking at things. And so he then addressed the religious people of his time who thought that they knew, they had the rules down or whatever the case may be. And he said, look, you'd be fine if you thought you didn't see, but because you think you do see, because you said you see, well, your error or sin or mistakes, whatever the case may be, they still remain with you, because you can't correct yourself if you can't admit that you first have an issue or a problem or a limit to your awareness. And then I went into the Micah piece because a lot of us try to figure out, what does God want from us, or what does our religion or our belief system, where is it trying to take us? Speaking out of the context of the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible, and then my personal understanding of my faith, what God wants from us is to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And if we're not doing that, then none of the things that we do as far as sacrifice and stuff like that are of that much value. Because if we're doing it from a place of ego and separation, or trying to show where we are to distance ourselves from other people, without that humility and that love of mercy and that seeking of justice, we're not in step with the teachings and revelations of Jesus, at least not that I understand it. Now, I know there are people that will disagree with that, and not everybody's Christian, but I think that fundamentally, to be a human being participating in this collective enterprise of humanity, it takes these same steps regardless of your faith. You have to be able to be humble, to be able to say, I don't know and I'm capable of learning. You have to be able to love mercy, because sometimes mercy is required. Sometimes that's all you can give. There are a lot of people operating out of pain. Hurt people. And if we aren't able to love mercy and give mercy, then there's only going to be more and more of an eye for an eye type of situation, and none of us get anywhere with that. I think it was Gandhi who said, if we keep going eye for an eye, the whole world's going to end up blind. So mercy is definitely a requirement, and justice. I mean, there's a lot of people who have their different ideas of what justice is, but I think that if you or any of us use anything within our own context, that if our whole purpose of what we call justice is to justify instead of to be just toward others, to invite others into the larger circle of awareness, the larger circle of inclusion, then we're not doing justice. Doesn't matter what we say. So that's basically the context that I'm emerging from, and me and these other two individuals are getting together, not because we're trying to tell people where they're wrong, but to just come into a space of humility, to see the limitations of our sight, and to then use the gift of our own blindness for more light to break through into our lives. And we want to invite other people into that too. So that's basically it. It's going to be November 15th. I know it's way ahead of schedule, but I think that this is something that could be happening all over the place, not just with us and the way we set it up, but there's lots of other ways of doing it. But I just kind of wanted to let you know what we're doing. I am going to write a few words underneath this video, just because that's how I do it. And hopefully you get something out of this, and whatever you get, hopefully you share. All right, take care. Peace.